Press the camera button that starts the camera. Tenor Tech. Hello, this is Tenor Tech. And today I'm going to be showing you how to take pictures of a Tesla coil or any other high voltage electronic experiment. We will be taking the pictures with an SLR camera. And in the end, we will end up with pictures such as these. So, let's get started. So the first thing you all want to do is find the thing that you're going to be taking a picture of. I will be taking a picture of the sparks coming from this high voltage Tesla coil that I built in a previous video. But the information learned can also be used to take pictures of other low light, high detail phenomena such as the night sky or lightning bolts in a thunderstorm. So after you have the subject you want to take a picture of in mind, you can now start picking out and setting up your camera. The camera I will be using is an SLR camera by Canon. This is the Rebel. This is a really good SLR camera to use for these types of pictures, but almost any SLR camera where you can change the exposure will work. You will then need to mount this camera on a tripod facing the object you want to photograph. If you're photographing the night sky, you can just set this on a tripod and point it towards the sky. I'll turn it on. You're then going to want to set the SLR camera to the setting called manual exposure. You can do this by rotating the knob on top. Now once you get to the menu screen, you can start selecting the different values you want. So manual exposure changes how long the shutter of the camera is open, which means how much light gets into the camera. So I'm going to set it for something like 2 seconds. This will mean the camera will be recording for 2 seconds, but everything it records will be stored on one frame. I will set this number, which is the f-stop, to 5.6 because this changes how focused the picture is and how much light it lets in. So if you were to have this at a very high number, everything in the picture would be in focus, but it wouldn't let in very much light. We will also want to change the ISO speed. The ISO changes the camera's sensitivity to light. If you have a low ISO setting, the camera will not be very sensitive to light, but your picture will be very clear. If you have a very high ISO setting, then your camera will be really sensitive to light, but your picture will be kind of granulated and not so clear. So I'm going to settle for an ISO of about 1600. Now before taking your actual picture, make sure to set the camera to a self-timer, so that way you can click the button and then the camera will be still when the picture actually takes. If you don't set a self-timer and the picture takes the second you press the button, then the picture will be shaky and blurry. You are now going to want to focus the image. Now some people like using autofocus, but when I'm photographing one thing with multiple shots at the same distance in a tripod, I prefer to use manual focus. So switch this little switch on the side to MF, which is manual focus, and then you can rotate this tiny knob, which doesn't make the lens move in and out, and this will adjust how focused your picture is. So you can adjust the small knob until your picture is at the optimum focus. Now you can adjust the zoom. You can zoom in the picture to however close or far you want by rotating the large knob on the lens. This will move the front of the lens in and out. So what I would suggest doing first is zooming in really close, then focusing it, and then zooming out to the desired point you want to photograph. Now it's time to take the actual picture. Make sure all your equipment is set up and your camera is focused and set to the right settings. And then set your camera. So now after everything's set up, you can turn off the lights, press the camera button that starts the camera, and then before the camera takes its actual picture, turn on the Tesla coil. You should now end up with some really cool pictures such as this and this. By setting the exposure to a shorter time, your picture will have less lightning bolts, but it will be also dimmer. By setting it to more time being open, then the camera will capture more lightning bolts and it will look more washed out and purple like this one. Personally, I think the Tesla coil looks the best when you photograph it at about 2 seconds. But you are free to mess around with whatever time on your camera you want. That's the beauty of digital cameras. You can take as many pictures as you want until you get the right one. As always, thank you for watching and please subscribe.